All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Mentor Connect time. We meet every week to really just discuss all the great topics, questions that you guys as campus mentors have in regards to really helping your club run better and more effectively with excellence and more enthusiasm to be more student-led. And to really follow the epic plan. And so welcome everyone. Glad you're here. Today's topic is all about effectively communicating, also communicating over Christmas break, over a break, and but also to really help start in January really well. One of the problems a lot of clubs have coming back after Christmas break is getting started. You may start, like your school session may start on a Tuesday. It may start Wednesday, and so trying to figure out schedules and figure out how it all works and getting the plans in, but also really helping make sure that your plan moves smoothly, that you really start off in a really, really good way. So welcome everybody. Glad you're here. Hey, let's just kind of go around the table. We're going to start with Steve. You're up in the top corner, man. Just say your name, what church you're with, what region if you work for First Priority, what region you oversee, and we'll just kind of go around the horn and introduce everybody.
Hey guys, Steve Champagne, area coach of the South Broward, and I go to Liberty Life Center in Davie.
All right, John.
Hey, I'm John Harvey, and I work for First Priority overseeing St. Lucie and Indian River counties.
Awesome. Daniel.
Hey guys, I'm Daniel. I'm coaching Hollywood Hills High School and Deerfield Beach High School.
All right, Skinny Jeans.
Hey guys, my name's Jonathan. I work for First Priority, and I am the North Miami Day Director overseeing this North Miami area.
Awesome. Scott.
Hi, I'm Pastor Scott Didrikson. I am a mentor at Driftwood Middle School for First Priority over here in Davie.
Nice. Mike.
Which one? This one right here? Come on.
No, not go. We'll save the best for last.
All right, come on. So my name is Mike Pelleggi. I get to serve at the Coral Gables Senior High School First Priority. So.
All right, Mikey.
I'm the director for Miami-Dade County for First Priority. I live down in Queensstead.
Nice. And I'm Jeff Stanford. I'm the regional director for Palm Beach and Treasure Coast. And it's exciting times. It's Christmas time. We got Proclaim Weeks all over the map this week. Anyways, hey, let's just kind of really dive into the conversation about how to, over the course of a Christmas break, really effectively communicate with your teachers, with your student leaders, with your club in general, so that in January, when everybody comes back, to really start off really, really well. We all know, if you've done this long enough and been doing campus ministry long enough, January is a hard start for a lot of schools. Some clubs start, some schools start on that Tuesday after New Year's, or that Wednesday after New Year's, or different times. And so being able to really start well, so that you're not halfway through January and then all of a sudden we're starting. So let's just kind of start the conversation a little bit. Let me ask you this question. You guys who are on campus, what are some of the things that you have done in the past, or maybe looking forward to do in the next few weeks to effectively communicate with your club over Christmas break?
Well, I've only been here for 1 year, so this is my second year at First Priority. So I only got to see what happens after the turn of the year. But I definitely feel like if the leaders, particularly with Hollywood, because it started so late, we started like 3 weeks ago, and there was only like about 3 or 4 core students, and they're the ones that want to be leaders. As long as they come back, I feel like as long as that core group is there and they're focused, on getting out, going out and getting other students and just holding other students accountable, like even the new ones that have come. I feel like that can spark that up, because some dude that's 23 asking them to come back, and like I just came to this club and this dude's asking me to come back. You know, it's not as much as if another student or friend says, hey, let's go back to first priority. You know, so yeah, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've done a couple of things with some of our coaches down here in the past. We use down here a lot in North Miami, at least, the Remind app. And the Remind app is a free app where students can sign up, and we can send out free text messages just to remind the students of, you know, hey, happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, you know, a little like love. And then, you know, we try to really put a really big emphasis on our January 1st club and really make that as if like it's a huge party coming back. It's the beginning of, you know, another launch and, you know, of the year. And so we kind of try to launch a lot of our clubs with pizza, a lot of our clubs with a lot of hype around that to really try to get that momentum kicking off in the first, you know, part of the year.
Hey, that's interesting. So you're starting your club off, your new year off like a party versus like a soft start. So that's interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we really try to hit it off as a party. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it just creates hype. You know what I mean? All the students are getting text. Everybody's, you know, getting invited. And we almost, again, start the whole year off with a Proclaim week and, you know, trying to launch it strong. So it just builds that momentum from the beginning. You know, everyone just got off Christmas. They're not thinking about first priority at all, you know. And so if you're kind of launching it with a big party, you know what I mean? You're launching it with, you know, rallying all the kids together. For us, it's just been really productive because it's helped us lay out, you know, through the rest of the year, that momentum.
And real quick, and when do you start? Do you start the first week when they're back, or?
Man, you know, for me, I oversee over 40 clubs. So each club either starts the first or second week, though. Yeah, definitely. You know, but you're right. If it starts if it's on a Monday or Tuesday club, you know, it definitely is a little tougher to get that momentum compared to the later in the week clubs.
I think one of the keys for starting well in January is the communication this week and next week with students, especially your student leaders, of laying out, hey, we're going to have a big party. It's going to be a Proclaim week, basically from the very beginning, so that you've already set an expectation. And then when you connect with them on Remind, they're like, oh yeah, we talked about this already. So the communication over this week and next week before they get out really is going to set the tone for coming back in January. That's going to be an important dynamic of that, I think.
I couldn't agree more. Actually, the hype is it's super real. Like, you need it. You need to talk with the students. So some of the things that I've done in the past have been staying in communication with them during the break. So letting them know, hey, man, I'm really excited about what's coming up in just a few weeks. I'm really excited about how we're going to get to have the party again. But also, you know, and this is just from trial and error, keeping communication with the teacher sponsor is crucial, because, you know, we may have all these plans, but if the teacher sponsor, like, I don't think I can make it. And so maybe the following week or whatever, like if you don't get them on board, then you can have this big plan, this big party, and then, you know, no teacher sponsor, no room. So yeah, keeping tabs. I think communication is key in every relationship. So
absolutely. So I would suggest, and one of the things that I really challenge all of our guys to do is, you know, one is to always, you know, have your teacher's cell phone, you know, so that you can communicate with him or her really throughout the break. You know, just, you know, text them Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, that kind of thing, and but also too to remind them, hey, listen, club's starting up. You know, are we good to get going? Are we good to get started? That very first day back, at least we're in my region where we're at, that's a teacher work day. And so for them to be able to say within that workday time, to be able to say, okay, I'm going to make sure I get announcements ready. You know, we're going to, you know, make sure we're on Remind and we're texting students. Really communicating with your teacher is probably one of the best things to do over the course of Christmas break. Because the thing that you don't want to have happen is as you roll into January and there is no communication, or there is no, things change, students change. If you're a lunch club, students, may switch lunches. But you don't want to get into that rut where, okay, we're not starting till the end of January, where you get in that point where it's like, okay, it really takes longer to get that momentum. So really, John, you kind of really started right. You need to start that communication now versus, that first week back in January. You start that now, you're putting it in everybody's mind. It's on the calendar. It's on the teacher's calendar. It's on the announcement calendar, whatever it may be, for when they do come back to really get started. So let's talk a little bit about some ways to really start next year with a bang.
Let me piggyback off something you guys are already saying with the whole talking to the teacher. I think that's very important. You need to communicate with the teacher, and you need to say, hey, is this date going to work? Because things get crazy. But there's other things to think about, and you almost need to come to the teacher in the next week or so with almost like a checklist. Like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. The date we're going to kick off, and there's going to be a party. Hey, is that okay? Because some schools will limit club activities that first week back. They may not have an activity bus. There may be things going on where your students won't be there. So you can plan all you want, but then there's issues that are going to keep that from happening. The teachers should know that. The other thing that you want to think about is not just the first meeting. The first meeting is very important. It is probably the most crucial. But you need to think about the whole month, because remember, there's Martin Luther King Day. Some of you guys have Monday clubs or Tuesday clubs. And so there's not going to be in 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to have this great big party the second week, and then you get into the third week and you think you can meet, but you can't. And then the fourth week, something comes up because it's a teacher planning day, and all of a sudden you haven't met again until February. And so when you think about what's happening, because January is such a funky thing, because there's 2 weeks of break, you need to get down now and say, what's going to happen for the next 3 to 4 weeks in this club? We probably can't meet the first week because X. We can't meet the third week because it's on a Monday. And so we got to make sure how are we going to work through these things and really have consistency for you and the student. And so really getting with the teacher at maybe at the end of one of your meetings this week or next week and go, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I looked at the school calendar. Is there anything going on at your school that we need to kind of talk about? And I think just by planning those first few weeks, it really ramps the club up very quickly, and you won't be waiting till February to have your first meeting. If you don't plan that first meeting and then you don't plan the couple weeks after that, there's a very good likelihood that that first meeting or that first proclaim week will not happen until at least February, maybe even Valentine's Day. And it's just too long. And not because of, it's too long because we need more things going on. Because look, by February 14th of last year, we were dealing with the Stillman Douglas shooting, right? How many proclaim weeks could we have had in that school? How many other things could have happened if things would have been on pace? And I'm not sure if it was or wasn't, but think about that in your school. And so thinking about the importance of really getting going, man, there are a lot can happen between, January 7th and February 14th. And so let's make sure the gospel shared at least one more time, right, on the campus.
That's a good word.
Good word, Mike. Hey, so so going back, man, that's really, I think planning ahead is the key. If you got a really good teacher, sitting down, even just you as a mentor, sitting down with them, next week or even maybe that first week in January and laying out the whole semester, because part of the issue too is you have January, we have some days off. You have a couple days off in February. But then as you roll into March and April, now you have you've got FSA testing, you've got spring break, you've got a lot of stuff that really can kind of throw things into a loop. So it's a great opportunity to maybe that first week, even just getting your teacher, your student leaders together and say, hey, let's map out the entire semester. Let's go ahead and start from May and let's work our way backwards. So that we really plan it well and do it well, and you're not having a proclaim week right after spring break, or you're not landing on a proclaim week on a day that is off, and so making sure that that's laid out. So as we start in January, what have been some creative things? What are some things that you have seen done on your campus to really promote the club, getting people back engaged, bringing that hype? That is, as we all talk about, is necessary. What are some things you have seen, maybe you've done to do that as students come back in January?
Yeah, honestly, this is crazy that I'm even going to say this, but one of my students who goes to American had seen her club being with like about 8 or 10 kids, and she was like, Mike, I'm going to make it my thing to this year invite by giving out flyers. And I thought, okay, this girl clearly doesn't understand that flyers are ugly. I mean, I'm a graphic designer, and I'm thinking, dude, like, that is the ugliest thing I've seen. But I mean, I'm not going to break her heart about that. So she designed this thing on PowerPoint, and she just invited people. She invited 100 of her friends, and she saw flyers everywhere on the floor, like litter bugs. But man, that thing brought in, I don't know how many students into it. Like, I think it was so many that they had to move into the auditorium. So honestly, the word of mouth, the handing something down, and we have the business cards. You know, we don't have to have. That's the other thing. Like I told, we have business cards. Like, yeah, but I want to invite them. So just that one little piece of saying, hey, I want to personally invite as many friends as possible. So definitely talking to the team and letting them know, hey, listen, the power of the invite starts with you, and so you just got to tell them that idea. I mean, this was this year. Mike, you know about the story, right? So anyway.
Jeff, I would be interested to hear if you got anything to throw in there, because I'm new to this as well. So I want to be able to pass on to my guys.
Yeah, so I got one school that at the beginning of every semester, they actually have a table in the courtyard during lunch where they just have the invite cards with a little treat on it and just pass them out as people walk by. Just as my, hey, club's meeting, club's getting started, we're getting fired up, we're getting excited. And so, they'll do that the first week of January. They'll just, on the club day, which they meet Thursdays after school, they'll just have a table in the courtyard, and it'll all have invite cards with, a Snickers or, something attached to it. And as people come by, they'll hand them out. And so, utilizing those opportunities. Daniel, I'd be interested to hear from you. So you started last year at Hollywood Hills in at Deerfield, and so you had to kind of roll through for the first time last year. What was something you did last year that maybe you're going to do again, or maybe you're going to rearrange and do different?
Well, I would definitely have to say communication. Last year, though, I had a sponsor who was, her heart wasn't to be strict, but she was like very to the letter. So she really didn't allow me to communicate directly with the student leaders, even through Remind Me. So she always wanted me to relay it through her and then to the students. So I really didn't get to have that kind of communication. And even now I'm still learning how to use the app to communicate a little better. But I'd have to say that I forgot who the brother was, but that pointed out, to communicate, and to just keep in touch. So it's not just out of the blue, like 5 days before school starts back up, like, hey guys, first priority, and they totally forgot because they're all busy with New Year's Eve and Christmas probably especially. So I definitely would have to say communicating and just keeping in touch, just keeping that fellowship and that friendship, even if it's through the little app, just so, it's not out of the blue, but I feel like because the club is so small and it's so short, we have our club on Wednesdays for Hollywood at least. And that's, I think, the second day back in school. There's not going to really be, I don't know, I feel like there won't be enough time to kind of get things rolling, especially since it's so small and we just started, 3 weeks ago. I can see that happening if the club was already established, like get the party going and the proclaim, make it like a proclaim week. But what are your thoughts? Because I'm new to this too. It's only been a year and it's a blessing, but I'm still learning for sure.
I will say, one of the keys, and Mike mentioned it, but it kind of goes in hand with doing something. I don't think you necessarily have to start with a proclaim week, but you need to start meeting so that you can get with your folks. And the key is, a lot of us think if we can get 5 students just to invite 5 friends, and we should always push that because you just never know who's going to invite who. But sometimes there's that one student. I can tell you right now, some of the most successful clubs we've seen where they're student-led and they're good at inviting, it's because one person in the club, one of the members, got fired up and said, you know what? I'm just going to go invite everyone. I had a girl invite 50 people. One of the days we were talking about inviting people, she did it right then and there in the meeting before the Proclaim Week, and she was inviting people. Obviously, having them something specific to invite them to, something different, something special, I think is important. So when you have, what kind of event? We've had Proclaim Weeks every 3 weeks. Well, what can we do special? Well, we can have a Christmas party this week or next week, which I'm sure many of us are doing, but we can have a New Year's Eve party, right? Maybe we even get those little things that you pop and on sale the next day after New Year's, and we grab them, and we have actually like a New Year's Eve or New Year's Day party, like a New Year's Eve kind of thing, but like when they come back to school. That's one thing, man. Martin Luther King towards the end of the month, man, you could do something that's a party that's related to that. So thinking about what is going on at the time and just naming the Proclaim Weeks different things, but not just naming it and say, okay, we're going to have something different, but really getting students fired up the week before, the ones in the club, and go, hey, we're going to have a New Year's party. What do you think we should do? Oh, man, we should get those popper things. Oh, man, we should have like a little bit of a dance competition. Maybe that's what gets students there. I've actually heard of a gospel dance party, and that was basically, I actually was at American a few years back, and that was very successful. There was over 100 students there at a club that maybe 15 or 20 come on a regular basis. And so really coming up with something specific to the time frame, but I think it's not just coming up with the event and then hoping the school hears it. It's coming up with the event and then getting that 1, maybe 2 students that are so just pumped about it, right? Getting ownership and being invited, having an inviting culture. So you may, in your particular case, and I think this is a lot of clubs, you're not going to have that Proclaim the very first week. You're going to get your students fired up, and then maybe the second or third week is when you're going to have that, gospel dance party or that New Year's kickoff or whatever it is that you call it. But getting the students ownership, their buy-in, not only to invite, but to come up with ideas about what's going to happen. That's really, when you get the students fired up, our Christian students that are in the clubs, they get fired up to invite their friends. Sure, I'll invite my friends to a party, a dance party. That sounds awesome. And so that kind of helps the situation.
I really like that idea, a theme Proclaim Week as your real launch. You have a soft launch to plan it, and then your real launch will be themed. I like that a lot. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's just really good stuff. Just, and really throughout the year doing that of like saying, hey, we're not just going to have Proclaim Week. We're going to have, February is like, hey, we're doing a special Valentine's one. March, we're doing the spring break thing. We're, kind of doing that throughout the year. One of the things we're talking about, as we kind of talk about coming back from a long extended break, and Mike, you hit it right. It's, our well-oiled machine clubs, they're going to start, and it's like they're not going to miss a beat. They're going to keep happening. It's going to be good. But we got a lot of clubs that are, your club may be brand new. Daniel, you got a brand new club there in Hollywood Hills. Or maybe you've got a club that's like, yeah, we got like 10, 15 kids. But being able that first week to just get as many of them into the room as possible, and then actually spend some time planning, spend some time just kind of reviewing Epic. Hey, this is what Epic is. It's Equip Week, Proclaim Week, Connect Week. Spend some time maybe planning, mapping out the next, up through spring break or even the whole year if you've got the time. But then most important, man, take some time and pray. Take some time there in club, pray. We're going to start this year off right. We're going to make sure it's done really well. We're going to make sure, because you need to take inventory. What resources do we need? We need to contact our first priority guy to make sure we get posters and invites and Bibles, all that stuff. Because you want to be able to take some time and just kind of do an inventory of your club. What students are there? How's your teacher sponsor doing? What's the schedule look like for the next, 6 weeks? The materials that we have, making sure everybody's still familiar with the website. We understand what Epic is. We understand what our mission is, that we're not morphing into a Bible club. Kind of that relaunch, kind of similar to what we do in September as we start clubs. We're planning, we're praying, we're prepping, and then we're going to just launch massively. taking a week at the very beginning to do that is really setting your club up for success the rest of the semester. And so let's just kind of like take a moment. Let's kind of get creative. We've got we got 6 really creative minds that are sitting around the table right now. And so what are some ideas that maybe you have thought of that you can throw out to other mentors to say, hey, this is something maybe would be a cool thing to do to launch your club in January?
Some of our members in the club are involved in other clubs, and so they don't meet on the same day. Being able to harness that and say, invite the members of your club to come over to be a part of this is crucial. So, and it works. So that's something that we oversee a lot, and I don't know why, but time after time, these kids are multi-club members. Hey, use this. These are your friends that you want for Christ. So absolutely, it's one.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, several of our clubs, what you said, how they're involved with other clubs, they actually have that club, especially if it's a specific art club, dance club, vocal club, whatever, come and actually perform for the First Priority Club. So it gets that whole crew, that whole other club to come, in essence, as an event, and another thing to kind of pull students in that wouldn't necessarily come prior. But then, you're able to, kind of, advertise to those students in a way that they're performing, you know what I mean? And share the gospel to them.
One thought I just thought of just not hearing you guys speak is maybe change the venue for your first launch. And so if you're normally in the classroom, typically maybe do an outdoor thing, like in the courtyard or someplace where you have more exposure. But of course, under the rules of the party atmosphere, like a hype atmosphere. But if you're able to create that atmosphere and do it in a more public setting, maybe that would be a great way of launching.
Yeah, so that's actually what we came up. We had a meeting yesterday, and I'm at a club, and I'm pretty new to this, so we're trying to figure this out as we go a little bit. But one of the things that there's a gazebo in the middle of the courtyard at the school, and so we're going to do the first Proclaim Week in January there, and see if we can bring a bullhorn and music and all that kind of stuff, and do it that way. So same type of thing what Steve just said. You stole my idea a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude, but I like that, man. That's really good.
Hey, listen, some of the best things in ministry are stolen. So don't worry about that.
Amen.
Hey, so our time is wrapping up here, and be true to you guys and everybody else that might be watching. But anyways, as we launch into next year, again, a couple things coming out of this, man. Just communicate really, really well this week, next week, over Christmas break. Make sure you've got dates set for January. When Equip Week is, and Proclaim Week and Connect Week. As you kind of move forward, really planning, preparing, but most importantly, praying. Getting your students to pray. But the one thing that I heard today that really just hit home, and Mike P, you started off with this, was that personal invites, getting students to just simply invite. And that flyer may not be the most graphically appealing piece of paper, but it means a lot. It means a lot to that other student who says, you know what, I need to come to this. You never know when you're going to hand that to a student, and it's going to change that student's life forever. And so just always constantly encourage your students to invite their friends, whether it's the other clubs, their sports teams, or music, whatever, and just find ways to get creative and say, hey, we're going to invite people because that's what we're supposed to do, is invite people to hear the good news of Jesus. And so, guys, listen, have a Merry Christmas. We're not going to meet next week. We're going to have a network recap that will be posted next week, and then we will kick off in January. And so, again, guys, thank you so much for being on. Appreciate all of you guys. Have a Merry Christmas. And
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.